a brand new dawning as the passion start to rise.
Good morning and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago. Today we are here with Dr. Ellis Burris. He is the president of the Inter-Religious Organization in Trinidad and Tobago. And we are here to discuss the National Day of Prayer and Reflection that is carded for Independence Day this year. So on Sunday, the nation will take a different approach to the Independence Day celebrations due to the recent threat to national security. As a result of that, the government would have declared a state of emergency, and we are now looking at an interesting Independence Day celebration. So joining us, we have Dr. Ellis Burris, and we would hear his thoughts on this approach, right? So, Dr. Burris, tell me.
Well, it came as a surprise to me, but we have weathered that storm, and we have caught back our balance, and we have decided that we should at least do something for the nation, as we are the Inter-Religious Organization of Trinidad and Tobago. I'm the president,
Right.
and therefore it's fitting that a religious organization, even when a mention of a day a day of prayer and reflection was on the table, we decided that we should be able to come forth, take up the mantle, and start something for the nation. So we have organized a program which is called One Nation United in Prayer.
Right.
So that program will be held at the Nagar site in Chaguanas, and we are hoping that all the members of the Inter-Religious Organization participate. Not hoping, but we know that they are participating because they have all mentioned what part of the program they will play. Each organization is allowed to say a prayer, a reading from their holy writings, and also maybe a drama, a song, as the case may be. And that's what we did. So we have approximately 18 groups taking part in the event, and we hope that it will be a success. We have tried our utmost to ensure that all and sundry are informed, and that they will at least come forth to represent whosoever was invited.
Okay. So 18 groups turning out, I think, would be a good bit of involvement.
Yeah.
My question, why do you think the government decided to choose this particular approach, considering our current state of affairs with regards to crime in the country?
If I should be honest, and I'm honest, we have been calling for a day of prayer for this nation for quite a while, even before this new government has taken up its position. Mm-hmm. But we never got any significant response to that call. And this new government has decided to have a day without consultation. They did not discuss with us.
Okay.
That's the position of the government. They don't have to discuss with the IRO, but they have taken this position that they would need to make the Independence Day parade or step down and recognize it as a day of prayer for the nation. Prayer is very important for our lives. The point remains, prayer is a conversation with God. Right. And individually, we as people should be having constant conversation with the divine, because we don't know what happens in the next 5 minutes. And therefore, having that prayerful attitude will enable persons to develop a more spiritual connectivity with God.
Right.
And will really make us different people. Once we are connected to the divine, we know that good things can flow out of us. If we are on the contrary, then we know that any situation can happen. It's like a person on the contrary, a person walking into a dark room will bump into chairs, right, or tables or beds, as the case may be, because the room is not illumined.
Right.
When we are illumined with the light of the Holy Spirit, we are guided by the Holy Spirit, and therefore we will not bump into objects that will create problems for us. They may come in as tests, but when we, as persons who are connected to God, know that if there is a test, we just have patience and the test will be over.
Okay. Another question I have for you. Now, the government would have decided to have this particular day as a National Day of Prayer and Reflection, but do you think that this should be a one-day event, or this should be something that we have recurring moving forward?
Well, it's a start. You know, generally when you spike a situation, we cannot say what all the results are, because it is not a linear arrangement. It is an arrangement that is non-linear, right. And therefore we cannot really give a total assessment, but we know anyone who is imbued by the Holy Spirit can change their ways. Correct. We will believe that okay, I could change my ways like that, because you could try, but efforts tend to fail when it's not supported by the Holy Spirit.
That is correct. So you mentioned that your organization will be having a prayer service.
Yeah.
Is there a specific time cut out?
Oh, yes. The program is at the Naga site, and it's from 10 a.m. and that's on the 31st of August, which is Sunday coming.
Right.
It should be 10 a.m. to 12 noon.
Okay, great. How do you think this day can include all faith traditions throughout Trinidad and Tobago?
Right. Well, we have called for, with the call for a day of prayer and reflection, we don't expect that small event that we have at the Naga site, right, would be all that will happen in the nation. We are calling on all religious organizations in every nook and cranny,
right,
to at least dedicate a half an hour or hour of their service to the upliftment of the nation in prayer to God. So in that fact, we'll capture everyone in Trinidad and Tobago, giving to God some level of respect and love and honesty for the upliftment of the nation. What we are praying for is that the nation is uplifted, that crimes would be suppressed, and that prosperity comes to Trinidad and Tobago in a big way. So when prosperity comes to the nation, all peoples would be happy.
Okay, so we know how social media works.
Yeah.
People always have something to say. And the general feedback is that most persons don't believe that prayer can solve the entire crime problem. But do you think it's a step in the right direction?
It's a step in the right direction. It wouldn't solve. You see, there's pragmatic operation that also have to take place on the material plane, right, which we can at least be a part of.
Correct.
But when we invite the divine in, the Holy Spirit in, we expect an amplification of what we do on the ground.
Okay, great. If you can speak directly to the nation's youth, because we know a lot of them actually are the target of a lot of the crime situations in Trinidad and Tobago, what message would you share with them?
I will share with them that it is important that when you get up in the morning, particularly in the morning, I'm not saying that you shouldn't pray 3 or 4 times a day,
sure,
but particularly when God has given you life to wake up to a new day, you need to give God thanks and praise for that opportunity. And by so doing, you are feeding or nourishing your spiritual being. Man is made up of 2 beings, of 2 parts, the spiritual part and the physical part. We take food, material food, we eat every day. When you wake up in the morning, your wife or your mom, mommy, I'm hungry, or right, wife, you prepare anything. That is part to feed the physical body. Mm-hmm. But that is an appeal as a hungry individual. From a spiritual perspective, we need to make that same appeal to God, that our spiritual selves, or the soul of that is connected with our body, that also can be nourished. If that is not nourished, then you are just an object walking on the plane.
That is correct. And tell me, beyond prayer, what practical steps do you think your organization, in collaboration with others, can implement to ensure that we have more involvement in this fight against crime?
Well, I would say we need to encourage, as you said, the young people, because people of a certain age do not think about those crimes. They have been so fixed in their ways to be good. And even a criminal, you say that he's good, he's happy.
Yeah.
Because, you know, he has just committed a crime, but you say, oh, that's a good man, or that's a good lady.
Right.
You know, they feel good inside. So the goodness of an individual is magnified when you worship God.
Right.
And if you don't, then you are just another person walking on the planet like an animal without, you know, any spiritual development. And as simply put, every young person, be they go to church, be they don't go to church, I will advise that they take some part, they take their personal interest to ensure that they are spiritually nourished. If you are malnourished spiritually, you will do any crime. You'll commit any crime. You'll do anything because your spiritual eyes are closed. You don't see what is happening around you. And therefore, you will do murder, you will do drugs, you will do anything that you feel to do. And you believe that you're right. But you are damaging your own selves. And if we damage ourselves, then we cannot help others. Because my self-damage, I'm unable to help another person. I will probably, if that person has a mind that is wicked, they will encourage other persons to be damaged.
That is very disheartening. And just to wrap this up, if you had one piece of advice to policymakers to address crime holistically, what would it be?
Well, I have to say in this respect, IRO does not have any arm of national security under its belt. We are an independent body. We are non-governmental. We are non-profit organization, right? Mm-hmm. But if we have to advise the state, we will advise them in such wise that, listen, there are some fundamental things that have to happen in communities. I would advise, and I always say, we need more social workers who are there to help and go into the country, into the villages and country to advise those young people, help to uplift them, to set their minds in a certain condition that they will be able to, you know, uplift themselves. So we need more social programs or more social guidance, and we need to at least clamp down on things like the drugs, and people that feel alcohol is not a bad drug, but alcohol destroys the brain cells. Yeah. And the brain cells are irreplaceable. Once you destroy those, it's very difficult for you to catch your balance.
It is true.
Right? So therefore, we'll advise that, listen, manage those areas, because those areas are areas that are tangible, and you can see and get something done there. You also need to, bring people into a certain kind of level of discipline to ensure that they understand the pathway. If they don't understand the pathway, then they wouldn't follow the pathway.
It is true.
And it's so important that, people understand, discuss, and, have conversations that are uplifting to themselves. Because education, as a matter of fact, is not only religious education. You have academic education, and you have community education where people do things and people watch them in the community and say, oh, that person is doing a great thing. I think I want to follow them.
Yes,
right? So we need to have more of that in the communities, and at least mentor. There are some people that need to be taken on board and mentored. So government has to set up a proper mentoring program. You have to set up under the social operation, and you also need that parents are so important in the lives of children that it cannot be underestimated at all.
Yes,
the children are following their parents, and they will listen to their parents at most time. They might not listen to mommy, but they will listen to daddy, or they might listen to daddy, might listen to mom. So parents as a whole can play a significant role in the pathway of a child, and as parents, when the challenge and the trouble comes, the child runs to the parent. You have to go now look for lawyer. You got to go and look for this. You have to look for money to take them out of prison. Parents have a serious role to play with the development of this country and the children.
Great.
So we need to do that, and we need to take that on board seriously. Parents need to do something while the state do something in parallel. Parents arise and do what you have to do. Make sure your children walk the correct path and that they pray every day. Especially as a child, a young child. I remember as a child growing up, my mother used to say, have you said your prayers as you go for the kitchen for tea? If you don't, then you should have to go back and say your prayers.
It is true.
So parents have to develop these attitudes to enable the child to grow and to grow in a positive light, that he can able to be a light to the community and himself.
Okay.
Or herself.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Burris, for being with us today. As he would have reinforced, we need to ensure that prayer is very much a stronghold within the home. Parents, communities, all involved stakeholders, we need to come together to ensure that we could have a very strong fight against crime.
Yep.
Thanks again for coming, and it was lovely.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Thank you much.
Wait, you will have to unclip it.